Good morning, Mets fans, and happy Friday. Welcome to Driving with Mr. Met. Anything going on? Little flurry of activity last night. Yesterday, the trade rumors picked up. They are looking more and more legitimate as each minute goes by, rather. And it looks for almost certain that the Mets are going to acquire Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz from the Mariners. And as expected, Mets Twitter is losing its goddamn mind. So I want to talk about that today and give my opinion of what this trade is turning into for both the Mets and the Mariners. The early reports yesterday on this rumored trade front were Cano and Diaz from the Mariners for Bruce, Swarzak, McNeil, and Justin Dunn. And if you go back to like 2 or 3 days ago and you look at what Dan O'Dowd had surmised about or talked about on MLB Network, that to me was an absolute steal of a trade. The inclusion of Justin Dunn made it less of a steal, but I still felt like this was a absolute home run slam dunk for the Mets. Now the latest reports are that Jarred Kelenic is also included in the deal. McNeil is not, but Kelenic is, and that puts 2 top 100 prospects for the Mets on the trading block for the Mariners to acquire. And if you're the Mariners, you sort of have to be looking at this like, this is great news. We just got rid of our best starting pitcher in James Paxton to the Yankees, and now they're going to be able to replenish that and more with the Mets giving up Justin Dunn. At the same time, you're also adding a legitimate outfield prospect in Kelenic. The Mariners have to be like, we get to dump Cano's contract. They're going to have to eat some of it. And that's pretty much a given. How much of it is what we don't know right now. But from a Mets standpoint, here's the thing, and here's where I'm sort of stuck. I'm trying to stay away from Twitter because it makes my brain hurt a little bit, but I'm stuck on the inclusion of 2 prospects, 2 top 100 prospects. In both Dunn and Kelenic, I just don't feel like both guys need to be included in this, but I understand it. And I understand it because, look, you're getting a guy who had 57 saves last year, had a sub-2 ERA, had a nearly 14 K per 9, doesn't walk anybody, has really good control. This is an elite closer. And in return for an elite closer, you've got to give up something. And I understand that the Mets are taking on the Cano contract, but you have to also look at it from the Mariners' standpoint that they are taking on the Bruce contract and the Swarzak contract from the Mets. Putting those 2 contracts side by side, adding those 2 up and then putting that addition side by side with what the M's are paying Cano, it's $10 million more for Cano. So $14 million for... $21 million for Bruce and Swarzak, and $24 million for Cano. So it's a $3 million difference. It's not that huge of a difference. The big difference is the length. The Mets take on the 5 years, whereas Bruce and Swarzak are 2 and 1 year deals respectively. I'm very happy that something is happening. I think above anything else. I like that Van Wagenen is actually using prospects to try and improve the team right now. And that, I think, it's funny to me, you can't expect to trade with a team and have it be lopsided. Like, this is not WFAN call in and make some absolutely asinine proposal which is like, one guy for 6 of the best players in all of baseball. It doesn't work that way in reality. And that's what I think so much of Mets Twitter fails to grasp. Like, you have to give something up to get a closer the caliber of Edwin Diaz. Now, the arguments about, well, gee, there's tons of closers available on the open market, and that's completely true. But all of those closers are going to cost a pretty good chunk of money. And in Diaz, you're getting a cost-controlled relief pitcher for this year and next, and a guy who is arbitration eligible and won't really need his first contract till 2023. That's a lot of time to have a guy who's this good under team control. And that, to me, is what differentiates Diaz from all the other closers and available relief pitching options. And I know everyone has been saying you don't trade prospects for closers. They're right. I mean, the sentiment is absolutely correct. You do not do what the Mets are doing right here, generally speaking. But sometimes you have to be bold. Sometimes you have to make a move to improve the team. And that, I think, is what Brodie Van Wagenen is doing here. And again, as I said before, I'm excited to see that he's doing something. And let's be honest, the end result of this, as I said the other day, is that it opens up a clear path for Peter Alonso to be the everyday first baseman for the Mets. It uncongests a very congested outfield that doesn't include Yoenis Cespedes, and he might be back at some point next year. But it also leaves an opening in the outfield. And I don't think Van Wagenen is done. I think he's going to be adding more pieces. Does that mean Bryce Harper? I mean, God, I don't know. I don't think so. But that's the sort of trajectory that I think we're on right now. And this is like Omar Minaya level. Anything can happen with this general manager. He's not above or beyond making a splash and taking a risk. And I like it. And I was a big Sandy Alderson fan. I liked Sandy Alderson. I liked what he did with the team. I liked what, he really had no choice a lot of times. They were really cash strapped underneath him. But Alderson did his best, and he was completely conservative. Never in a million years would have considered this move. And this is different. And different is good sometimes. You can't keep repeating the same steps and think that things are going to get better. That's the definition of insanity. So this is something different. This is something that Mets Twitter has been clamoring for. They're getting what they've been clamoring for, and guess what? They're pissed off about it. Shocker. It's like a petulant child who, no matter what happens and what you give, they're going to be angry about it. But hey, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I think the key to making this or breaking this trade is how much money is Seattle going to eat of Cano's contract. If they're going to eat a good chunk of it, and the Mets are going to save upwards of $8 to $10 million a year, that's money they are going to reinvest in the team right now, whether it be signing an Andrew Miller or signing a Jeurys Familia or making an even bigger splash and signing a Bryce Harper. Who knows? We'll have to see how this unfolds. But it's unfolding, and that's the important part. And that's, for me, it's fun. This has been something that we haven't really had an opportunity to sink our teeth into since the trade deadline in 2015. The trade deadline in 2015 was like the only time that the Mets really had like an exciting time period of, wow, this trade is going to happen or that trade is going to happen. The Mets have been so conservative since Sandy started here. It's just fun to see something different happening. So let's enjoy it. Let's see what happens. Let's not cry fire Brodie Van Wagenen. That's been one of my favorite things to see on Twitter. And instead, let's hope for the best, and let's watch this unfold for the rest of the day. I think by the end of the day, Cano and Diaz will be Mets, and some subset of Mets players, in addition to Bruce and Swarzak, will be Mariners. We'll just have to wait and see who they are. So I'll be back on Monday, more than likely, to talk about this trade and how it actually did unfold. Questions, comments, concerns, hit me up on Twitter at Mr_Met or in the comments section below. And as always, let's go Mets.